Just want to welcome in Florida Congressman Byron Donalds as we continue to react to President Joe Biden's farewell address, 16 and a half minutes. Congressman, it's good to see you. What'd you make of it?
That was terrible, to be honest with you. I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt because it is a farewell address, but that thing was just awful. Man, you know what? This has been one of the worst presidencies in the history of the country, and I think that speech demonstrated it. You want to talk about an oligarchy, but you gave a Medal of Freedom to George Soros. The fact that the Democrats use twice as much quote unquote dark money as Republicans do, election cycle after election cycle, respecting our institutions when you spied on the American people, saying that you roared us back from a potential economic collapse when prices are massively out of control and our economy's been stagnant. The world's been on fire. I could go on and on. Joe Biden was wrong on every decision of his presidency, every decision. And probably the worst thing that occurred in all of it was what happened in Afghanistan almost 4 years ago when he was more concerned about politics than actually getting Americans out of harm's way in Afghanistan. The country is better off that he is leaving office. It's very unfortunate we had to go through this period.
Yeah, it really is. I said a moment ago, I almost felt bad for him. Obviously, he's struggling with his dentures. 8 o'clock at night, we know, is tough for him. You know, he goes to bed early. I almost felt bad for him. But to your point, then I thought about the last 4 years. George Washington, 1796, in his farewell address, he warned Americans to avoid foreign entanglements. And he talked about that for multiple paragraphs in his farewell address. Joe Biden, to me, is Mr. Foreign Entanglement, but he didn't mention Ukraine once tonight. What'd you make of that?
Because he can't mention Ukraine, because quite frankly, the Ukraine war is his fault. Everybody saw after we had that reckless and disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan that the Russians were amassing troops on the Ukrainian border. They were doing it for 6 months. Joe Biden didn't do anything. And then when Russia invaded, Joe Biden told Vladimir Zelensky, we're sending a plane for you. And Vladimir Zelensky told him no. This has been the worst foreign policy that frankly, I've seen in my 46 years on this planet than the country's probably seen in the history of our nation. This is by far the worst foreign policy. So he can't talk about Ukraine, because if he does, it reminds people that it is his poor decision making, it is his bad leadership that has got us in the place that we are right now.
Yeah, he said, this is a quote, "I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. I want to talk about the abuse of power." And then he went on, and my jaw dropped. Abuse of power will be Joe Biden's epitaph. He invented lawfare. Donald Trump, 4 indictments, 91 charges. Now, he beat everything. He's going to be in the White House on Monday. But when I think about abuse of power and somebody in the White House, I immediately think about Joe Biden. How does history remember this man?
History is going to remember him the way you just laid it out, not to mention that even in this speech, he talked about how he wants to have new tax policy where the rich, quote unquote, pay their fair share. He just pardoned his son, who's a tax evader, who evaded the same code that Joe Biden's talking about. And oh, by the way, for Joe Biden and all the Democrats who want to talk about the Trump tax cuts, they had an opportunity to change tax policy. They could have done it. They did not change tax policy. And the reason why is because the Trump tax policy is the best tax policy in the history of the country. So what you have in this speech are the same vapid platitudes that defy reality so you can look good politically. But the problem is that America has seen the results of the radical left agenda led by Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and the rest of the radical left. And they chose in this most recent election, they want no more of it. They want Donald Trump.
Just a couple seconds left. We're up against a break. The whole show is condensed tonight because of that speech. Yeah. Any insight into who Ron DeSantis is going to choose to fill Marco Rubio's seat?
I don't know. I think the governor has kept this pretty close to the vest. We'll see what he does over the next couple of days because, obviously now a decision has to be made.
Are you on that list?
No, I'm not. I know I'm not on that list.
Okay.
But I think that Governor DeSantis is going to make a great decision. We're going to have a great United States senator to follow in the footsteps of Marco Rubio.
Yeah, a big day for Florida on Capitol Hill today. Pam Bondi, Florida Attorney General, now trying to be in the United States. She did
great.
Marco Rubio was as well. Congressman, great to see you. Thanks for being with us tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.